and welcome back to Beyond the First Response. It's Christy Lister here.
With Ciara Dooley Madrid.
Ciara, I don't know that I'm excited about this episode. I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. So many things. We didn't record an episode last week. We both have some family struggles going on right now, which it's Suicide Awareness Month. We are in the midst of first responder suicide awareness this week.
Yeah.
As we're recording. And what we're forgetting about is the first responder family members who are struggling. And that goes in so many different ways, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Children, and in cases like us, Ken and I were divorced. You and Matt were engaged. So in technicality, we were no longer together.
Right.
You were never together. Mm-hmm. Your daughter lost a man that she loved like a father. And it's so many intricate things that you deal with after a suicide that you don't sometimes know where you fit in or how you should fit in to pick up all these pieces and try and put them back together for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's important that we talk about this because it's very difficult. I mean, I'm having a rough time right now.
Yeah. It's a web that just seems to grow and then it gets taken down and then it grows back. It's just a never ending cycle. And you think you're on a right path and then you're not, and you think, you're doing the right things for your kids. And then you're like, fuck, I'm not, even though you are, but you're not. The children, we all suffer, but they suffer so much differently. And I just was talking about this morning, the world we live in plays a huge role in that. The social media, the aspect of the justification of likes and friends and all that. And it's breaking us down even more than we can already, where we're already at,
It is. And so like for us, looking back, we knew Ken was in a dark place. The kids would come home and they would say, Mom, Dad was crying. Dad wouldn't get out of bed. Dad didn't want to do anything except go shopping. And the kids, that takes a toll on the kids. And things that now I understand, I get angry with myself that I did not. I would bring it to his attention. Like, are you okay? What's going on? But I didn't understand. And again, when we say I didn't understand, you're not meant to understand because I could justify every behavior based on how life had been.
Right.
Right. But I get so upset more like the kids just want to freaking spend time with you. Why can't you just spend time with them? I couldn't help them comprehend what I wasn't understanding at the time.
Right.
We taught them that sitting in that dark place is sometimes easier than digging through to find the light because that's all they saw. Mm-hmm. And so they make choices.
Yep.
I
know. Yeah. I've taught mine how to just not talk about it. Mm-hmm. If you don't talk about it, you don't have to deal with it. It's magically going to fix itself. Like, I swear Danica thinks that I would snap my fingers during my marriage and we were magically fixed.
Right.
Because that's how she goes and deals with things now, like just doesn't talk about it and puts on the fake smile. And that's not okay. Even though like we do this and we talk and we do all that, like as she's growing and progressing, it feels like she slid back some, and that's the trauma, but that's also her repressing all these hurt, all this hurt, not just from, Matt, but then you add other trauma on top of the suicide, or the suicide on top of other trauma. And of course she's not going, not, she's gonna, what 13-year-old, or at that time she was not even 10, she was 9 still. How does a 9-year-old go through that?
Right. How do they understand something they were never taught to understand?
Right.
They were
And how do
taught
they
to
understand?
stuff that in.
Yeah, and how to even just understand. I mean, how do you understand suicide? We don't. We
Right.
don't understand suicide.
No.
But to understand it when you're taught not to deal with it, and, always be the strong one. And I will 100% say my kids were my protectors. My kids, my son especially, he wanted to protect me and he couldn't protect me, and then I couldn't protect him, and the back and forth. And then she thought she was protecting everybody, my mom and my brother. And then, when Matt died, like she lost like the person that was supposed to protect
Yeah.
me.
And that goes when I say, you're putting the vest on, the ear set, the headset on, whatever you're putting on. But in reference to the police world, you're putting that vest on and you're carrying that weight. Well, we're carrying it for you. But what we have not really realized, we thought we were carrying it. Me, I can't speak for everybody.
Mhm.
I thought I was carrying it, protecting the kids,
Mhm.
but I wasn't. And that's been a slap of reality in my face this past month and a half.
Yeah.
It's horrifying to think about. Um, and it's I know I have not failed them. I know that the tools that I did not have prior, I understand that, but it's like I just want them to grasp them, and I want to shake her and say, yeah, it's going to be okay. You have to do it this way because this is the healthy choice. These are
Right.
the tools I've been giving you. I
Right.
hear you practicing them. What the fuck are you doing to be doing this?
Right.
And
Hmm.
I get angry. But her dad's birthday was on, National Suicide Awareness Day. It
Hmm.
will always be on that day. The one year I decide not to say, hey, do you want to celebrate dad's birthday? Do you want to honor dad's birthday somehow? Because it breaks me to
Hmm.
see the look in her face. The boys are out. But the look in her face, it breaks me.
Hmm.
The one time I'm like, I'm not going to do it. 2 days later, Toby's birthday, a day, 2 days after, Mom, did dad's birthday pass? Yeah. Oh, I go, well, I didn't say anything to you this year because it hurts me to see you hurt when I do. I'm like, we can celebrate it. Yeah, I want to. So now I feel I failed her because I didn't bring it up to her.
Right. Because you think that you're doing the right, like, it's like one time it's the right thing, and the next time it's not the right thing. And it's a constant shift, especially with them, because they're still growing up. They're still
Right.
children, and they're just trying to learn all these bits and pieces. And it's it sucks. It's terrible. Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like I failed. And I yeah, I mean, to have to look in your kid's face and say, do you want to die? Like, it's heartbreaking. I'm gonna cry. It's heartbreaking, because you do all these things, and you teach and you preach and you listen and you do all this, but then if they're not doing the work too, like we say to first responders, to everybody that listens to this podcast, if you're not doing the work, you're not going to heal. We can't fix our kids, we think we can, but we can't. And it's like we said, it's been a heartbreaking couple weeks in both of our households. And we're doing the best, and the main thing is learning, and still continuing to be open-minded that the way we were doing it is not okay, and the way we were doing it before that was way not okay.
Right. That's the
So
blessing about a negative, right? We realize what we thought was the right way was not the right way. And we are educating ourselves and fighting for ourselves to better that for us and our family.
Mhm.
So there's a positive. But this is actually happening, ladies and gentlemen, even in first responder homes on the same four walls that they're living in that have not died, that are still serving, even in the homes that they have died in the line of duty.
Mhm.
Same thing. I
Yeah.
spoke to a widow last week. Her husband died in the line of duty. Uh, Nobody's left their family, and she goes, it's actually kind of like, go the fuck away. Let me move on.
Right.
But they're always there. You know, these walls. Nobody knows what to say to a family or to somebody when they've lost somebody to suicide.
Mhm.
That suicide doesn't run your life. It doesn't, that's not why you're living. That's not going to always run your life. It's
Mhm.
always going to be there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that that's the reason to react uncomfortably around people. That's not the reason to make unhealthy choices. Grief is a shitty thing to go through. Everybody goes through grief. Traumatic grief is different. It's unexpected.
Mhm.
It's a little bit harder to understand. And when you're a parent or when you aren't married, you kind of they kind of push you out, right? Yeah, they kind of like, well, you were really not part of the family. Go to your corner.
Mhm.
Um, that's difficult for people because where do you fit in? Siblings, well, that's my sibling. Yeah, but you weren't the spouse or
Yeah.
you're not the kids.
Mhm.
And parents, same thing. Where do I fit in?
Yeah.
I raised them. They're adults. They came out of my body.
Right.
They are
Yeah.
50% me and
Mhm.
50% that the father or the mother.
Right.
Where do I fit in? Everybody feels lost.
Mhm.
And the one thing about us here is you don't need to feel lost. We're all the misfits on the
Right.
island.
The island of misfit
Yeah,
toys.
it's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay to be quirky. It's okay to be weird. It's not okay to not move forward in a
Mhm.
healthy manner.
Right.
And getting yourself healthy again and understanding and educated is one step towards happiness. But teaching your kids while you watch them struggle and sit. I just keep looking at this letter that I started writing. Sorry. I keep looking off and like, and sitting in the darkness, the loneliness that you feel and the desperate fear that you don't want somebody to see you struggle. So you're
Mhm.
going to put that fake smile on. You're going to act like everything's okay
Right.
while making bad choices,
Mhm.
while isolating yourself, while crying when nobody's around, while getting angry at people when that anger is misguided because it's not anger. It's the desperateness of not knowing what to do
Yeah.
inside yourself.
Mhm.
And to add that to a child, to add that to a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and now they're gone, a ex-spouse. And where do you go from there? That education. Everybody is touched by suicide when that person is in your life.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter, much like every trauma that they see every day, it affects everybody differently. My shoes may fit you, but they're not going to fit you the same.
Right.
It could
Exactly.
be an exact replica of the same situation, how it went down, what was said, but at the end of the day, we're different.
Mhm.
And everybody has to understand not to tiptoe, not to let unhealthy choices be accepted,
Yeah.
and our children especially,
Mhm. Yep.
because I'm not gonna lie, what I picture, her route that I see, it's like, do I start planning her funeral now?
Yeah.
because if things don't change, that's
Right.
where we will be.
Hmm.
And it sucks trying to do that alone.
Hmm. Yep, 100%. Um, I get it 100. I mean, like you, as you know, and some viewers may know, I have Ryan, but I raised Danica alone. Matt was her stepdad, and but her biological father has nothing to do with her. He doesn't call her. He doesn't text her. He doesn't do anything for her. As a matter of fact, he added more trauma to her the day Matt died. So she always is seeking some kind of validation, and then it's from one extreme to the next, especially when it comes to a male. And she and my biggest fear right now is, well, I want her to live, and that she thinks the man is going to save her. But I continue to tell her it's okay. Like it's okay that your dad left, like it sucks. And, not he didn't leave us, like we split up, but he left her when she needed a dad. And I tell her all the time, it's okay. Like, and it's okay. Your feelings about that are completely okay because you're worth it. Like, you're worth way more than what has been given to you. And you've been dealt a shitty hand. Like, most kids will never have dealt the hand that she's had dealt to her. And they're not even close to it. They'll get like two fingers of her five-finger hand. Um, and even that's a lot.
Right.
And I just continue to tell her, like, you are so loved and you are so needed here on earth and you are so much more than you think. You're so much more than a text message or a guy that likes you in school. Like it, and that is one thing I've noticed a lot in children of suicide survive, like children that have survived suicide, that they seek so much validation
Yes.
because their world was ripped apart and they had nothing to validate any of that. Not nothing. Like even if they had a good parent left, like they just seek it, they need it. But a lot of that is their grief and not knowing how to handle grief, and we not knowing how to handle grief. Like I haven't met a single person that has said, "Oh, when they took their life, like I knew what to do and I knew how to handle it." Like I've not met a single person that knows that. So
I put my
it's
shit kickers on and hoped for the best that I was doing what was right.
absolutely
Mhm.
that was 100% how I survived the first, especially the first year. Because you walk in that fog, like,
Yeah.
and then your second year, your fog lifts, and then you're like, this sucks. Like this absolutely sucks. But to them, like it's just sucked all along. And so many people don't believe in therapy, and that's fine. But for our children, they need something more than we can give them. Like they need a network of people to talk to, um, anything. I mean, and I'm grateful for the resources that I have found here, and getting involved in the teen suicide realm because it's passionate to me. I mean, even before my daughter has come about her struggles with my son, and to know that there is, and I'll say this for Nevada, I don't know about other ones, but Nevada, we have a peer support text line where your teens can text and talk to somebody that is and has gone through mental health crises, and they're there to help them and help them get through their feelings. And sometimes I think teens need a peer more than an adult does because especially nowadays, like, right? Like, how many times have we talked about our kids went through COVID? Like, they went through the shittiest thing on top of their suicide. Like, they had their entire lives ripped away from them, everything they knew. And then, like, my children went through suicide during COVID in the midst right when it had first hit.
Right.
So they had no one or nothing to reach out to. And the minute that we went back to school, like a friend of mine, her daughter and Danica were only like a year apart. And sometimes I really think that this helped Danica so much. They did school together, even though they were not at the same school or the same grades. Like they came over, she came over 3 days a week, and Danica and her did school together. Like they sat at the coffee at the dinner table, and they were in school together, which some people might be like, oh my gosh, like you guys didn't wear masks, you didn't social distance. No, we were over it. Like
Yeah.
when August hit, I was done. Danica needed her friend. And sometimes those girls just didn't do school. Sometimes they wanted to just ride scooters outside. And luckily, I had that great friend that was like, okay, cool. Like they don't have to do school. Like let them let them be kids because they haven't got to be kids.
Well, and that's it. That's the important thing. They're still learning while doing something like that because social skills have not been learned over the past 4 years.
Oh yeah. Oh, and
So,
if they lived in a house, sorry too, like
oh,
I
that's
don't mean to interrupt you, but if they lived in a house where you didn't talk about things, or you suppressed and you hid and you did all that, they're still learning social skills too.
right. Exactly.
Because I mean, and we do that too. We had that even before COVID, like how to be social and how to talk.
Etiquette 101.
Yeah, exactly.
But when we allow our kids, because we don't know what to do, because we feel bad for them and we're lost, allowing them to disrespect,
Mhm.
um, have conversations, have some leniency on understanding, being empathetic, but there comes a time where you do have to put your foot down. And I'm a very strict parent. So the fact that what I'm dealing with right now is still relevant and worse, it's like a slap in the face.
Yeah,
And decisions have to be made that aren't going to be pretty.
yeah.
And that's when I get angry at Ken.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's when I get really angry. Why? Why am I the one having to deal with this? Look, I know we dealt with some of this when you were here. I was mad at you because you weren't helping me deal with it.
Hmm.
I understand now, but why now? Why
Yeah,
do I have to deal with it again?
right. And it
And
hurts even more this time.
yeah, yeah, it makes me angry, disappointed,
Hmm.
disappointed that everything that I've learned and tried to teach her hasn't sunk in. And this is where everybody is different.
Hmm.
You can still have bad days and you need to and have that vulnerability talk. I went over to my friend's house last night. I left. I went over to my friend's house and we just sat there. Part of it in silence, part of it talking, part of it completely changing the subject. But I was with her because she's one of my no judgment friends.
Hmm.
And at 11 o'clock at night, her door will always be open for me and vice versa. And we all need that because that helps me.
Hmm.
It helped me because you can't talk to somebody that you're necessary. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you can't always talk to them about it,
Right,
especially because sometimes then it becomes, well, here we go again.
right,
Suicide is brought up again. Da,
right.
da, 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 right?
Trauma is brought up
Yeah.
again. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, welcome to being a parent.
Hmm.
Welcome
Yeah,
to being the parent trying to fix
everything.
everything, but you can't fix everything.
Right.
And forgiving yourself the hardest thing is to forgive yourself,
Hmm.
period. Then to re-forgive yourself when you think you've done enough, because it might be enough for me because my brain's a little bit more mature. Well, that's hearsay. I don't really know.
Depends on the minute.
Yeah, you know, but I'm in a different part of life where I've been in counseling for a long time. I'm back in counseling. It's different season in life.
Right.
But you just want them to see all this, that it works. So you were talking about the school system has something. I was looking, our school system, which we're no longer in, thankfully, uh, it started
Nevada's not
something,
great.
right? They started something 2 years ago, and now I don't even see it on the website. So I don't know if they still have it. Either that or they just completely blocked me because they had enough of me. Either
So
one's
I know
possible.
ours is it's through the school, but you have to, when you're in need, like you have to reach out and speak to the school directly, and then it goes through Washoe County School District. So I reached out to the counselor, the school counselor, and then she put me in touch with she did the referral, and it's called Care Solace. And from my understanding, they're not just here in Nevada. So many other places might actually have this, and I I was like, wait, what? Like, we've been a part of the school system for 2.5 years now. And like just now hearing about it, which brings into where I will be, we're going to something on Thursday night for Washoe County School District and teen suicide. But and to not know about this was like, what? But anyways, it's called Care Solace. And what they do is you give the counselor gives a referral to Care Solace, and they do all the legwork for you of finding a specific therapist. Like I didn't ask for a specific trauma therapist. I asked for a trauma therapist specifically. And then you give them the insurance that you have, and they do all the legwork for you and find that what you're looking for under your insurance with the most recent availability. So it was like, instead of, you making these calls and then not getting any responses, it was an amazing blessing, because now in under a week, I have found somebody that takes our insurance and an appointment, instead of, what could be 3 or 4 days waiting for somebody just to call me back to say, no, I'm not taking any clients.
Hair Soul List.
Care Solace, Caresolace.
I can't spell.
So lace.
I can't find it. Soul Lace. I put a U in there. Maybe that's why. All one word, right?
No, it's 2 words.
Okay.
Care Solace, calming the chaos of mental health care. And it says K through 12 education, families, providers, our story.
Got it. So we're going to put this link on because, again, the controversy of having a therapist that may or may not understand first responder families, or suicide or traumatic grief. That's huge. This is one thing that I've learned lately. Traumatic grief is a huge thing that affects our children. We talked about this before, but I do see it. We'll have the link in there. Check it out. If it's not in your area, check out NAMI.
Yes, NAMI.
NAMI's another great tool.
NAMI is a great tool, and our guest that we're having later this week, she works for NAMI, so she can also help give us some NAMI links that we'll provide. But and each NAMI has a chapter each
State,
each state.
county.
Yep. And like Nevada also has, for Nevada listeners, we have Hope Means Nevada. And I'm saying this just because I'm looking at my text message with her of what she sent me. And they're for teens too. I think they're actually for anywhere, but they talk more about teens and how high the rate of suicide is amongst teens in Nevada specifically. But they everywhere has that. And I mean, I wish I could find 50 websites to put a link for
Right.
each state out there, but it is very overwhelming when you are searching for your children. I won't even try to sugarcoat it. It is so mentally destroying, trying to find somebody to
Wearing because you
it,
want to find the right person,
oh
because
yeah.
kids will be like, well, I didn't like them, so I'm not going back.
Right. And especially nowadays, because mental health has been so on the up here and talked about since COVID, trying to find a therapist that is taking new clients or that specializes in this or that, whatever you're seeking, I understand that it can just go, fuck it, I'm done. Like that's
Right.
how it feels. Cause I know when I was searching when I first moved up here, it was 6 months. I searched for 6 months trying to get Danica in. And then it was like, oh, I don't like her.
I'm gonna also give a shout out to it here in Illinois in the Chicagoland area. There's a place called Beyond Healing Counseling Services. So I will put their link in there because they've got a plethora of
Information.
counselors. And Haley started there and was with a counselor for about 6 months. And she was a grief counselor, thinking that's where we need to start, right? It's
Mhm.
grief. And then working with a pediatrician there. Because the good news is, kids can see their pediatrician until they're 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's because your brain's really not developed. That's my mindset.
Right.
That's why they allow it. But through working together, they realized that they need to seek trauma therapy.
Mhm.
And we were able, well, she's 18 now. I have no say. So this is where if you are in therapy or you are not in therapy and you say negative things about therapy, consider getting into therapy. Let your kids see
Mhm.
that they can give it a try because I'm in therapy. She's still in therapy even at 18.
Yeah.
She could have quit, but they have a trauma therapist there that she just started with.
Nice.
So find a place that will let I'm not the right one. We've worked as much as we can here. I think our next step, because they've developed that relationship with her, that they can make that decision together. That's a good tool. So I guess in that aspect, that's a win.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is a total win because she's still going and she's still willing to go. And
Right.
not that you can force her because like you said, she's 18, but that's a plus. And
Yes.
it's a step in the right direction. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes it feels like you take a step right and then there's 19 steps backwards, but you're going forward. You are doing everything that you don't think you're doing. And it's like I told Danica, they have to do the work too. No matter where their brain is stunted in the growth, that doesn't mean they get to just stay there and stop there. Like
Right.
we can give them the tools, but they have to do the hard work too. And it sucks. And it sucks licking your child in the face when you know that they're hurting and telling them that. But it could potentially save them and it could potentially save their friend because they could look at their friend, in a year from now and go, I did it. I did the hard work and it sucked and it hurt and I cried a lot, but I feel better now. And
And I recognize in you what I felt in me. And I think you need to get help.
mhm,
Where we didn't have those tools, we justified behavior,
yep,
which is normal because you can, but now we look at it differently. And our first responder children are serving next to our first responders, and a little piece of them die when their parent dies,
mhm,
or their brother, or their sister, or their child, you know, and they don't get that piece back. You try and piece everything back together, but there's always going to be that missing piece because
right.
you got to get comfortable with not having closure.
Mhm.
You got to
And
get comfortable with no answers.
we have to continue to say it that you have to set healthy boundaries for yourself too, even
Yes.
as a parent. Um, and it sucks and
Mhm.
it hurts that you have to potentially cut your kid off or
Yes.
not have any more conversations with them because it's not healthy. But that goes for everybody in your life. Do not let anybody destroy you. Do not jump when someone tells you to get your fucking ass up and get the meatballs.
Yeah.
Like you deserve to be respected, even in trials and tribulations, even when you're hurting. There is no reason disrespect should come from anyone for anything. Like when somebody is disrespectful to you for no reason, it is a sheer response of them and who they are and their personal struggles. So set your healthy boundaries and say, you know what? If that's the way you're going to talk to me and treat me, then I have zero need for you in my life.
And I'm going to eat that meatball.
And I'm going to not get up and get it right now. I'll get it when
No,
I want to get it,
I'll get it
or
when I
I
want
won't
to
get
cook.
it at all.
Yeah. Maybe I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe that meatball is dry.
Maybe it's just not a meatball.
Maybe not. Amen. At the
Amen.
at the end of the day, we felt it was important during the first responder awareness days, suicide awareness days, that we bring up our children, our spouses, surviving ex-spouses, surviving ex or surviving fiancés, boyfriends,
Girlfriends,
siblings.
parents.
Yeah. All the surviving first responders that are left holding that vest alone and not understanding what to do or picking themselves up and feeling lost in time. It's okay to feel lost. That darkness, the light's on the other side. You're not alone. You
I
have
will
us.
listen.
You have your judgment free friend that you can pick up, and don't be afraid to pick up. This past weekend, as much as I verbalized that, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I
Mhm.
didn't want to. And I actually had two people then. I was at my camper and she just sat down and I got angry. Not angry at her, but I'm like, I don't want to freaking talk.
Right.
But I did.
Mhm.
She started talking. We talked. Then it made it easier for me to then go and reach out to my other friend when it all started settling back in again. And I needed to run away
Release.
and
Uh-huh.
talk.
Mhm.
I needed to go take a breath.
And that's okay too.
And that's okay too. Yeah.
Even if you have little kids, not 18-year-olds, even if your surviving spouse is alive, but you know their struggles, it is okay to call somebody up and be like, I just need you right now. And, you know, and if that person is the one that you're calling to watch the kids and you're going somewhere else, that is completely okay too, because sometimes you just really need to take that. I need that time out right now. Like, because if not, you're going to fail yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then your marriage is going to fail, like plain and simple. Like that's I hate to say it like this, but that's textbook therapy, that if you do not take the time for yourself when you're hurting, your marriage is going to fail, whether you're married to a first responder or a trucker or a school teacher. Like you have to take those timeouts for you. And it's important for your kids to see it too, because then they know that it's okay for them to take the mental timeouts.
Right. And then come back and talk about it.
Hmm.
So everybody have a wonderful week. Um, thank you to the families who are picking the pieces up and are hanging in there and finding their seeing their value
Hmm.
as they move forward in life and raising their children, and just know you're not alone.
Yep, you're never alone.
Nope. Leave the meatball.
Screw the meatball.
Right.